Look, apologies in advance for this. Would you like to come to Japan?
Yes, I love Japan. Let's go.
Oh, good. Okay. In that case, come with me, if you will, to Japan, to the 28th of February, 2005,
Okay.
at around about 10 a.m. in a deserted car park in Tochigi Prefecture. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, a car was found by a passerby in this deserted car park. The car was interestingly sealed up. The windows and doors were sealed up with tape.
Okay.
And in that car were four people in their 20s and 30s, all dead.
All right.
The passerby who found the car called the police. The police broke into the car and found full of smoke, full of smoldering charcoal briquettes on the floor of the car, which had been lit on purpose.
Jesus.
As these four people had ended their own lives deliberately in that car.
Okay. It's an interesting way to do it.
Isn't it? Isn't it just?
Never heard of that particular
Asphyxiated in the car by self-lit charcoal briquettes. Yeah. Interestingly, still, the next day, 1st of March, 2005, three more people, including this time a 14-year-old girl, 30 miles away in a parked car on a dry riverbed, sealed up with tape, windows and doors sealed. 3 people dead, both, again, this car containing burning charcoal briquettes. This car also contains suicide notes from everyone involved. Why don't we go forward a little bit further in time to 2021?
Oh, okay.
2021. Okay, we're going to jump forward a little bit to 2021.
Just this past year.
Yes, indeed. June last year, 20th of June last year, when a landowner in Kita in Tokyo notices on a vacant lot that he owns a parked car. He bangs on the door, no one inside stirs. The windows, the doors are taped up. In the driver's seat, you've got a man in his 30s, sat behind him, a man in his 20s, 2 younger females in the car. The police arrive, break in, all the occupants are dead. The car full of fumes from the charcoal briquettes burning on the floor of the car.
Okay.
Last week.
Okay.
2022. 17th of January. Around 9:15 a.m., passerby notices a parked car. Moriyama, this time. Windows and doors taped up, inside full of smoke. Police arrive, break into the car. 3 women in their 20s this time, and an older man. Car contains suicide notes, charcoal briquettes burning on the floor of the car. Okay, the people inside the car had all decided to end their own life voluntarily by burning charcoal on the floor of their car, thus asphyxiating them to death. See, this has been going on since the early 2000s, and I shit you not, there is case after case after case after case of group suicides in cars, burning charcoal, taping up the windows and doors, suicide pacts. Now, the first case that I told you about, the one from 2005, the one that contained the suicide note, the first one, the note in that second car I spoke to you about indicated that everyone in that car had agreed to kill themselves after meeting in a chat room on a suicide-themed website.
Oh, because I was going to ask, like, is this a cult or something? But I know, like, Japan in general has a big suicide culture, if that's a thing. So yes, the idea that there's like a suicide chat room for Japanese people. Okay.
Since the early noughties, suicide-related websites, chat rooms, culture, online culture, super common in Japan, where individuals who may not wish to die alone, individuals who've made the decision that they want to end their own lives, make pacts, make agreements to meet up and end their own lives together.
Wow. That's So that's why these are such strange assemblies of people. They didn't know each other. Their only context for knowing each other is through, I just don't want to die alone, and found people on the internet to do so.
And the papers that I've read on this today, and I've read a lot of articles on this today, and you know, the sense of alienation among the youth in Japanese in Japanese culture, the idea that those who want to end their own life, but they don't want to cause a problem for other people. They don't want to cause a mess. They don't want to bring shame. They don't want to be a burden. They want to end their lives neatly and tidily and quietly. So they meet like-minded people on the internet, travel, and do it together.
Wow.
Incredible.
That is really something. And very, it's interesting because that is, I mean, it's hard for the youth in Japan. That's a thing that, you know, you read over and over and over again. And for people in general, there's a lot of loneliness. There's a like very hardworking culture. It's hard to get time for yourself. It's time to get hard to get time for social things. It's hard to get time for social things. It's a country also where people tend to not be outwardly emotional and express those kinds of things. You know, it's like they don't cut loose, and I mean, they do cut loose, but they don't in their day-to-day lives really get an outlet for being able to vent a lot of this kinds of stuff. And so it's interesting to see even like the stuff that, because one of the things that's great about Japan, until you think too deeply into why it's like that, is like everywhere you go, everything is super efficient. Everyone is super nice. Everyone's very polite. And like they will deal with your bullshit with a smile, you know, and figure things out. So it's like everywhere you go feels really pleasant to be. And they will do things like, I remember in Kyoto, we found out that there's like, if they offer you, and this didn't happen to us, that's not how we found it out, but if they offer you like a certain like pickle course or something at the end of a meal, that's basically their way of saying, get the fuck out. And so if you take it, you're being an asshole. Like, I see. You know, that is their way of like, they can't say to you like, it's time to leave, but they can offer you this item that you should know is saying,
put your fucking shoes on.
Time to get out of here.
I mean, into this culture of wanting to end your own life in as tidy and as quiet and as neat and as unobtrusive a way as possible. Into this, we bring a man called Takahiro Shiraishi. Okay,
it's a good name.
Name ring a bell?
What was it? Takahiro
Shiraishi.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Takahiro lives in a very unassuming 13 square meters apartment. Okay. One of his neighbors described him as cheerful and kindly. But Takahiro was a man of some very dark predilections. A man who was deeply fixated on the idea of suicide. The man who was deeply fixated on, put it like this, old friends of his describe how he would want to play games where they would choke one another, not in a sexual manner, but they would choke one another to the point of passing out.
That was a pretty common game when I was a kid. Nobody would think anything of it.
Are you being sarcastic or not?
I am not being sarcastic. Was that not for you?
No. What, chokey fucking no, that is not one I've heard of.
When I was in middle school, that was like a thing that was like, there's various ways you can make each other pass out or whatever. I never did it because really? I don't like people strangling me and things like that. But that was the thing.
Well, anyway, look, Takahiro, he would scan these suicide websites. He would spend time in these chat rooms. He would spend time on Twitter looking for those people talking about wanting to die. And he would invite people to his apartment. He would take advantage of people in that frame of mind, offering to help them die, and in some cases offering to kill himself alongside them. What he instead did was rape and murder the people who he persuaded to visit him in his flat.
Oh man, come on.
Yeah, I know. So dark, so horrible.
It's like already they're gonna let you murder them.
Yeah.
Do you really have to be a dick about it, dude? Like
yeah. Police raided his apartment after the brother of a girl who went missing tracked him down using his sister's Twitter account. And the police found 9 dismembered corpses in a fucking 13-meter square flat.
I was gonna say, I'm not entirely sure how big that is, but that seems very small.
Tiny.
To be able to keep 9
tiny.
bodies. I mean, we
7
talked about
heads.
this in the when we were talking about Frozen Family, like Japanese people keeping someone in the refrigerator. That's taking up a lot in those tiny apartments.
But we're talking a real fucking slaughterhouse, dismembered corpses, heads in coolers.
So I was gonna say, where's he keeping them? He's got coolers in there.
Yeah. Cooler boxes with heads in, toolboxes with body parts in, bones around the place.
Was it because he just didn't have a place to dispose of them, or did he like keeping the bodies?
Neighbors say that the fucking aircon was always on in his flat. You know, the fucking fan outside was always spinning to kind of dispel the kind of the stank. I guess the dense population, I don't know. But for whatever reason, all of the evidence was right there. 9 bodies, 8, all women apart from 1. 8 were women that he brought in from the internet. 1 was the boyfriend of one of those women who had traced her to his flat and come looking for her.
Oh man.
Yeah, fucked up story.
That is so gnarly.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Pled guilty and was he now sits on death row. He was sentenced to death in December 2020.
Yeah, they're not stingy with the death row cases.
Oh no, he's gonna hang
for sure. Yeah, straight up gonna hang. That's just like, I mean, anything like that, it just has so much potential for people to take advantage of someone in those dark positions, you know? And it's like, yeah, you don't, I'm sure anyone who is at that point in like, yes, I would like to end my life, is not really thinking that part through. Like, like, what's the worst that can happen? They kill me? It can get worse than that, you know? And it's just like the depth of like how terrible a person you have to be to do that.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. A deeply upsetting and mournful kind of situation where people are trying their best to find a friend to end their lives with.
Right? Like that's someone who's in a lonely place and just wants to end it in a way that they're less lonely, and someone
then you've got a special
horrific
kind of motherfucker like that.
You just have to be so terrible to do that. And I guess I'm sure it occurred to him as like, oh, this is the perfect cover, because clearly these people were already gonna kill themselves anyway, and everyone knew it, and they were on websites, there's whatever. Although silly that he didn't think that anyone would be able to track that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. None of this is particularly pleasant. But look, this isn't the podcast you listen to for uplifting content, I guess.
No, I don't suppose it is. So hey, you're welcome.